The police were called to a suburban mansion in the upscale district of North Raleigh, North Carolina. When they entered the house, what they found would haunt them for weeks. Two teenage girls, both around 16, were found dead, each in a separate bedroom. Their bodies were partially undressed, and there were clear signs of assault. It didn't take long for investigators to realize this wasn't just a case of homicide, it was something much darker. The house belonged to the parents of one of the victims. Detectives began combing through the crime scene, dusting for fingerprints, collecting any trace of evidence that might point them to the killer. The parents were present at the scene, clearly shaken, but cooperative. They told police that not only were the girls murdered, but cash and jewelry had also gone missing from the home. This led investigators to ask a critical question. Was this a robbery gone wrong, or was the real motive something more sinister? The case quickly turned complicated. There were too many unanswered questions. Why were these girls targeted? Was it a planned attack, or just a horrific coincidence? Stay with us, because what you're about to hear is the chilling unraveling of a case that shook one of the wealthiest communities in the state. Our story begins in a high-end neighborhood, where nothing like this had ever happened before. The victim's family was wealthy and well-known. The father ran a successful contracting firm and had ties to local politics. The mother was busy with community events. They lived in a massive, multi-story estate with security cameras, a pool, and a live-in housekeeper. Their oldest daughter, the central figure in this case, was named Jewel. She was 16. Jewel had two younger siblings, a brother who was 11, and a little sister just 5 years old. Despite her young age, Jewel wasn't the type to stay home. She had her own small online business and was already hanging around older, influential people. Her parents gave her everything: the best clothes, the latest phone, trips, and total freedom. If she asked for something, she got it. No questions. Jewel's parents were rarely home. Both had demanding jobs and social obligations. The housekeeper did most of the parenting. Jewel could come and go as she pleased, dress however she wanted, and stay out as late as she liked. There were no boundaries. She attended an elite private school, the kind with high tuition, tailored programs, and kids from wealthy families. That's where she met Shay, her best friend. They were inseparable, doing everything together. From 6th grade to 9th, they were classmates and confidants. But everything changed when they entered their sophomore year. That fall, Shay didn't return to the private school. Her parents had run into financial trouble and couldn't afford the tuition anymore. Shay was forced to transfer to the local public school. When Jewel found out, she was devastated. Her best friend, the one she trusted more than anyone, was being pulled away from her world. She begged her parents to let her switch schools too, just so she could be with Shay. But they refused. In their minds, the public school system wasn't good enough for their daughter. They told her she belonged in a school with people on her level. That answer didn't sit well with Jewel. She pushed back, hard. Her grades slipped. She refused to participate in class. She told her parents she would drop out completely if they didn't let her transfer. For her, school wasn't about academics, it was about staying close to the only person she really connected with. Eventually, her father gave in. He had some influence in the school district and pulled a few strings. At the start of the second semester, Jewel was enrolled in the same public school, even placed in the exact same class as Shay. Jewel was thrilled. She loved the freedom, the looser rules, and the lack of pressure. Compared to her old school, this place was a breath of fresh air. She had fewer classes, more downtime, and more chances to get into trouble. And trouble is exactly what came next. Jewel started staying out later and later. Some nights, she wouldn't come home until close to midnight, and on other days, she'd skip school altogether. But despite her increasingly erratic behavior, her parents didn't tighten the reins. Their philosophy was, let her be. She's just living her life. And Jewel was living her life, or at least that's what it looked like. Her schedule was packed. She was enrolled in swimming classes, took regular sessions at a local fitness club, attended language lessons at a nearby center, and was constantly involved in outside activities. All of it gave her the freedom to be out of the house almost every day, from noon till night. Being in a public school had lifted a weight off her shoulders. That sense of depression she used to carry from her private school days had melted away. She told her parents, "If you had put me in public school from the start, I'd have been so much better off. That private school was nothing but pressure, I wasn't learning anything real." By June, school was over. Jewel had no exams, no academic obligations. She was at home, or more accurately, out with Shay most of the time. That same month, Jewel's father was gifted a weekend getaway by a business associate. A 3-day, all-expenses-paid stay at a luxury resort in the mountains of Asheville, Friday to Sunday. When he told the family, Jewel was not impressed. She refused to go. She told her parents she and Shay had already made plans for that weekend, shopping, movies, maybe a local concert. "You guys go ahead," she said. "I'm just gonna crash at Shay's place for the weekend. Pick me up Sunday evening." At first, her parents were hesitant. But then again, they'd known Shay for years. The girls had been best friends since middle school. Shay's family lived in a decent neighborhood, and they had met her mom a few times. They figured, what's the worst that could happen? So they agreed. On Friday morning, they packed their bags and gave instructions to the housekeeper. She was free to take the weekend off. Even the live-in security guard was told to leave until Sunday afternoon. Before hitting the road, Jewel's father drove her to Shay's neighborhood. His original plan was to walk her up to the door, say hi to Shay's family, maybe exchange a few words with her mom. But Jewel shut that down quick. "Dad, don't. Please. We're not kids. Just drop me at the corner. I'll walk the rest. It's just respect between us, you don't have to explain anything to anyone." Like always, they listened. And like always, it was a mistake. That Friday evening went by smoothly. The family arrived at the resort, checked in, had dinner, and relaxed. Around 9 p.m., Jewel texted her mom. "Everything's good. We're just chilling at Shay's. Ordered takeout. Gonna watch a movie and crash. Love you guys." Saturday came and went. No issues. Around 3 p.m., Jewel answered her mom's call. "Hey Mom, we're fine. Just ran a few errands, bought some clothes. Nothing major. Don't worry, I'll call you tomorrow. Just enjoy your weekend." But then came Sunday. And Sunday changed everything. It was around noon when Jewel's mom tried calling her daughter again. The phone was off. At first, she didn't panic. Maybe the girls stayed up late. Maybe they were still asleep. But by 1 p.m., still no call back. The phone remained off. She tried Shay's number, the one Jewel had saved in her contacts. Same thing. No answer. Phone off. By 3 p.m., the anxiety kicked in. Jewel always had a 3 p.m. swimming session on Sundays. She looked forward to it. She never missed it. Her mom thought, maybe she just ran out without charging her phone? Or maybe she left it on silent. But something didn't sit right. She called Shay's phone again. Still nothing. Now her heart started racing. Without waiting any longer, she dialed the number of Shay's mom, the one saved under Mrs. Thompson in her contacts. "Hello? This is Jules' mom. Is everything okay over there?" When Jules' mom finally reached Shay's mother, her heart sank. "Yes, the girls were here Friday night," Shay's mom said. "But Saturday afternoon, around 3, they packed up their stuff and told me they were heading to Jules' place. Said they were gonna spend the rest of the weekend at her house." Jules' mom froze. "What? We're out of town. There's no one at the house. We locked up and left Friday morning. Nobody's there." That's when both moms realized they'd been lied to. Jewel told her parents she was staying at Shay's house. Shay told her mom she was heading to Jules'. Neither was where they said they'd be. Panic set in. Jules' mom hung up and immediately told her husband. "She lied to us. Her phone's off, and Shay's mom hasn't seen her since yesterday. We need to go home now." Her husband tried to calm her down. "She's probably with friends. Maybe they're at the mall or at someone else's house." But she wasn't buying it. "No," she said. "Something's wrong. I feel it. She's in danger." By 5 p.m., they were already in the car, racing back toward Raleigh. During the entire drive, they called everyone they could, neighbors, classmates, friends, anyone who might have known where the girls went. But no one had a clue. Fear turned into dread. Midway through the drive, Jules' mom called Shay's mother again. "When was the last time you saw them?" "Saturday, around 3 p.m., she said. "They had their overnight bags and told me they were heading to Jules' house. Said they'd be back Sunday evening." That was the last time she saw her daughter. Jules' mom replied, nearly in tears. "I've searched everywhere. I've called everyone. I don't know where she is. I'm heading back to our house now." By around 9 p.m., they finally reached the city limits of Raleigh. Jules' father floored the gas as they approached the neighborhood. He wasn't wasting another second. As soon as they pulled up to the driveway, Jules' mom jumped out of the car and ran toward the house. The front door was unlocked. The moment she stepped into the foyer, she froze. The living room was a mess. Beer bottles. Empty wine coolers. Red Bull cans. Half-eaten sandwiches. Fast food wrappers. The place looked like it had hosted a wild house party, but this wasn't just any party. On the wall, written in bold red marker, were the words, "End of school year bash." Jules' mom started shouting. "Jewel? Jewel? Where are you?" She ran up the stairs toward the bedrooms. One of the doors upstairs was slightly open. She pushed it wider, expecting to see her daughter maybe asleep or passed out. Instead, her world stopped. Lying on the bed, wrapped in a blanket, was Jewel. Still. Pale. Lifeless. She pulled the blanket off in horror and screamed. "Jewel! Wake up! Baby, please wake up!" But her daughter didn't move. Around her neck was a phone charger, tied tightly like a noose. Her lips were purple. Her skin, cold. Her mother collapsed, screaming. Her husband, hearing the cries, ran upstairs. The moment he saw his daughter, he froze in shock. He stepped closer, hoping it was some kind of mistake, but he knew. Jewel was gone. And it wasn't over. He stepped out of the room and opened the second bedroom door down the hall. What he found next would change everything. Lying motionless was another girl, Shay. But unlike Jewel, her body was surrounded by blood. Her face was bruised. Her hands, tied with shoelaces. She had fought back, and lost. He staggered back, panicked and breathless. He ran downstairs, grabbed his 2 younger children, and rushed them outside. He didn't know if the killer was still inside. He called 911 with shaking hands. "My daughter and her friend, they're dead. In my house. Someone killed them." Neighbors began to gather outside after hearing the screams. A few helped calm the wife, who was hysterical. She couldn't breathe. Couldn't stop crying. A woman gave her water and tried to hold her upright as she collapsed on the front lawn. The father stood near the porch, numb, barely able to speak. "We left her here. I thought she'd be safe, we trusted her." Police arrived minutes later. Officers entered the house with weapons drawn. The crime scene was sealed off. Yellow tape went up. Crime scene techs began collecting bottles, taking fingerprints, snapping photos of every room, especially those 2 upstairs. But nothing could prepare them for what the forensic team would soon uncover. The crime scene unit began collecting every fingerprint they could find, anything that might help later. Then, they moved upstairs to the bedroom where Jewel had been found. When they removed the small blanket partially covering her, they were stunned. A belt had been tightly wrapped around her neck, and there were visible marks on her throat, clear signs that someone had strangled her. They carefully gathered all the potential prints and physical evidence. From the bruises and signs of a struggle, it became obvious she had been assaulted before being murdered. Then they moved into the second bedroom. That's where they found her friend, Shayna. She had been hit in the head with a heavy metal object. The wound was brutal, blood was splattered everywhere. Investigators began piecing things together. This wasn't the work of a lone killer. It was too messy, too intense. It had to be at least 2 or even 3 people. Who could have done this? Who would attack these 2 teenage girls so savagely? The bodies were removed from the home and taken for autopsies. Forensic specialists also collected semen samples to try and identify the perpetrators. Back at the house, the team went through every inch, looking for prints, broken objects, anything that might give them a lead. Luckily, one of the nearby villas had surveillance cameras that caught a few clips from that night. But then, something even more shocking came out. As detectives searched Jewel's room, her mother told them something that made their heads spin. The cash and jewelry that had been stored in the bedroom closet were missing. Now the theory changed. The killer or killers hadn't just assaulted and murdered the girls, they had robbed them too. That didn't sit right with detectives. Usually, when a crime is this violent, the killer is panicked. They're not thinking clearly, let alone stopping to rob the place. It didn't make sense. Whoever did this must have been calm, organized, maybe even planned it from the start. Jewel's mom told police the stolen jewelry alone was worth over $7,000, and there was at least $3,000 in cash missing as well. After collecting every possible clue and piece of evidence from the villa, it was past midnight. The officers returned to the precinct. With them were the victims' mothers, Jewel's and Shayna's, for further questioning. The team also called in Shayna's mother. When she arrived and learned her daughter had been killed, she completely broke down, screaming, crying uncontrollably. The officers gave her a moment before asking her to come down to the station. They explained, "You were the last person to see your daughter alive. Anything you can tell us may help." Once everyone was gathered at the precinct, the investigators began their deep dive. They wanted to know, who were Jewel and Shayna's closest friends? That circle would be key. Jewel's mother spoke up. "My daughter used to attend a private school, but this semester she switched to a public one. I don't know many of her new friends, but there's one girl who used to visit from her old school. Her name's Hannah. I have her number. As for Shayna's mother, she said, my daughter was shy. She didn't really have friends, except for Jewel. That was her only real friend. Jewel looked out for her, helped her with everything. She even followed her when she switched schools. Right now, the only solid lead they had was Hannah, the girl who was still attending the private school. First thing in the morning, detectives planned to visit her house and see what she knew. At around 8 a.m., the next day, officers knocked on Hannah's door. Her parents answered. After a quick exchange, they agreed to go with their daughter to the precinct. They were clearly shocked when they learned about the murders. They had no idea their daughter's friends had been killed. But they wanted to help. At the station, Hannah sat down and told the police everything she knew. She said, last Saturday night, Jewel and Shayna threw a party at the villa. They invited a bunch of kids, guys and girls, from their new school. I was there too. That caught the detective's attention. Finally, a lead. I got there around 6:30 p.m., Hannah continued. I didn't really know anyone else at the party. All the other kids went to public school. I was the only one still in private school. I only knew Jewel and Shayna. What happened that night? The detectives asked. Was there anything strange? Things started getting strange when one of the girls, Emma, told detectives. Look, I didn't stay long that night. I got there around 8:30, just as it was getting dark. My parents dropped me off near the house. I stayed a bit, but I left before things got weird. I left them all inside, Jewel, Shayna, and a few other kids from school. Some of them were just 15 or 16 years old. You can ask them yourselves. They were there longer than I was. They might know things I don't. That same evening, police went to the public high school where Jewel had been a student. They met with the principal, who gave them a list of students from her former class, even though the school year had ended. He even gave them parents' phone numbers so they could start calling each one. Detectives began rounding up the teens who were at the party. Most of them were still minors, so they had to bring their parents with them. Once everyone was assembled, the questioning started. 3 girls and 2 boys, all from Jewel and Shayna class, admitted they were at the house when Emma left. That left 5 teens inside, Jewel, Cheyenne, and those 5 classmates. The interviews were mostly uneventful, until one of the girls said something that caught their attention. I remember seeing the 2 boys sneak upstairs at some point. I didn't think much of it then, but now, they were up there, running around, and then came back down acting weird. After that, they left. When investigators called in those 2 boys, aged 15 and 16, it was obvious they were terrified. They were fidgeting, contradicting themselves, and couldn't keep their stories straight. The detectives pushed harder. Did you do something to the girls? Did something happen upstairs? The boys just kept shaking their heads, their voices trembling. But police knew they were hiding something. They got a search warrant. At the first boy's house, they searched his bedroom and found a bag of gold jewelry. A lot of it. Easily worth over $30,000. At the second boy's house, they found more gold hidden in the attic. They brought the boys back in and laid it all out. Whose is this? Their parents were stunned. This isn't ours. We've never seen this jewelry before. When police showed the jewelry to Jewel's family, they confirmed, that's hers. Every piece. The boys broke down. Okay, we admit it. We stole the jewelry. But we didn't kill anyone. They claimed that while the girls were still alive downstairs around 9:30 p.m., one of the girls left with her parents. That left 5 people in the house. We saw a chance and went upstairs to look around. Found the gold. We split it up and bounced. That's it. They also mentioned cash, about $3,000 hidden in another part of the house. Police later recovered it. But we didn't kill them, they repeated. When we left, the girls were fine. Detectives pressed. Was there any alcohol at the party? No, one of the boys said. Just snacks and soda. We didn't see any alcohol. This detail made the investigators suspicious. Because when the crime scene was processed, there were empty liquor bottles, lots of them. And they weren't there when the first 5 kids were inside. That meant more people must have shown up later, older teens, maybe even adults. Now the investigation shifted. If the gold thieves didn't kill the girls, who did? One of the girls they re-interviewed gave detectives a new lead. I remember a few times, at school, Jewel and Cheyenne would be picked up by 2 guys in a white car. They'd stop by after class and drive off with them. Cheyenne even told me she was dating one of them. Said Jewel was with the other guy. They used to hang out all the time. Now police had 2 new suspects, and a white car to look for. It turned out that the 2 young men the girls were dating weren't teenagers like them. They were older, one was 24 and the other 25. They were grown men, basically. They came to pick up the girls in a white car, spent some time with them, and then left. It all started in March. They continued seeing them through April and May. When the police began investigating the case, they sat the girl down again. The detective asked, "Can you describe the 2 young men?" She hesitated. Honestly, I didn't see them very well. We always saw each other from afar. But the car, they were driving a white sedan. I think it was a Chevrolet. I remember the model. The police jotted down the details. Then they suddenly remembered something. Wait. Shaima mentioned once that they hung out near a sandwich shop near the school. Maybe someone there knew them. The police headed straight to the snack bar she described. It was a small shop that sold grilled cheese and milkshakes. They showed the owner photos of Joel and Shaima. The man stared at the photos for a moment, then his eyes widened. Yeah. I knew these girls. They came here a lot. Sometimes alone, sometimes with a couple of guys. You know these guys? The officer asked. I mean, I saw them. I talked to them briefly. They weren't regulars, but they'd come in, get food, and relax. Sometimes late in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon around 4 o'clock. He added, there were some kids they used to hang out with on a nearby bench. Someone might know better. This led the police to a nearby apartment building. One of the teenagers there immediately recognized the description. I know who you're talking about. One of them is named Devin. He has a white car. I even got his number, he frequents this place a lot. That was the break they needed. They entered the phone number into the system. The name came up, Devin Thomas, 24. The address was a few miles away. The police wasted no time, heading straight to the house. His parents opened the door. Is Devin home? They looked nervous. He's been locked in his room for 3 days. He barely speaks to us. He hasn't come out since that night. They entered the house armed with a search warrant. Inside, they found Devin curled up on his bed, pale, his eyes open, and visibly shaking. He didn't struggle when they handcuffed him. He didn't say a word. At the police station, he still looked dazed, as if he hadn't fully comprehended anything. Were you at the party the night Shaima and Joel disappeared? Asked one of the officers. Devin stared blankly ahead. No, he muttered. but it was clear he was spiraling into a vortex. His body was screaming guilt even if his mouth wasn't. The police pressed on. "If you help us, we can help you. Just tell the truth." At that point, Devin collapsed. "I didn't mean to. I didn't kill them on purpose," he stammered. "It was a mistake. I didn't know what to do. My friend told me to do it, forced me to do it. Said no one would find out." The detectives leaned in. "What's your friend's name?" "Brandon," Devin whispered. "Brandon Ellis. Lives on Maple Drive. Drives the same type of car, white. He was with me that night." The police raced to Brandon's address. The white car was parked in front of the house, but Brandon was gone. His parents said they hadn't seen him in 2 days. His phone? Turned off. Back at the station, Devin continued talking. Brandon had been dating Shayna for about 3 months. His friend Devin? He was dating Jenna, a girl from a well-off family who lived in a large villa. Devin had a white car, and the 4 of them hung out, reveling in the wild energy of teenagers. That Saturday night, Jenna invited them to a house party. Her parents were out of town. Brandon and Devin showed up with bottles. They drank in the living room while the girls danced to loud music. Everyone was laughing. It felt like just another fun night. But that was just the beginning. As the noise grew louder, Devin leaned over and whispered, "Let's split up, take them upstairs." Brandon nodded. They tried to lead the girls into their bedrooms, but Shayna and Jenna refused. "No, we're not going to. You've had fun. It's time to go. My parents can come." But Brandon and Devin knew her parents were out of town until Sunday. Then things turned upside down. Devin grabbed Jenna by the arm and forced her into a room. Brandon did the same with Shayna. The girls resisted, but the guys were bigger, stronger, and drunk. They'd planned this. They knew what they wanted. And they were going to get it. They dragged the girls into separate rooms and overpowered them. After it was over, Brandon tried to play it off. "They'll get over it," he said. "They won't say anything." But the girls started screaming, threatening to call the police. "You're going to jail." Jenna screamed. "Do you think you'll get away with it?" Brandon panicked. He went out to talk to Devin, but what he saw shocked him. Devin was hitting Jenna and yelling, "Shut up. You won't call anyone." She tried to run away. So did Shayna. Brandon grabbed Shayna as she tried to reach the door, threw her over his shoulder, and forced her back into the room. During the struggle, Shayna's head hit the corner of the table. Blood began to spurt from the wound. She collapsed. Brandon tried to wake her up. But nothing. The blood continued to spurt. Brandon screamed for Devin. Devin and Jenna ran in and saw the scene. Jenna was losing her temper, screaming and crying. Devin looked at her with cold eyes and said, "She's seen it all. We have to deal with her, too. We can't let her go." Brandon froze. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. But Devin didn't wait. He dragged Jenna into the other room and asked Brandon to bring him something, anything. Brandon, still in shock, walked into the kitchen and returned with a rope. Minutes later, Jenna was dead. They changed their clothes, cleaned up as much as they could, and disappeared into the night, leaving the 2 girls behind. Brandon confessed everything to the detectives. He said, "That's the truth. I didn't hide anything. This is exactly how it happened." The detectives nodded, but one of them asked, "And Devin? Where is he now?" Brandon replied, "He went to the countryside. He's hiding at a friend's house." He knew you guys would come after him. The police coordinated with local deputies and raided a small farm in the countryside. They found Devin hiding in a back room. The man appeared terrified. His friend, who was sheltering him, claimed he didn't know what Devin had done. He just said he was having some problems and needed a place to stay. The friend was released. Devin was arrested. During interrogation, he told the whole truth. He confessed to raping and murdering Shayna. He also said that Brandon didn't mean to kill Shayna, she died from a blow to the head during the struggle. But Devin was the one who intentionally killed Jenna. He strangled her to death. He said, "I regret it. But I did it." In court, Brandon was charged with involuntary manslaughter and sexual assault. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison. Devin? He was sentenced to life without parole for rape and first-degree murder. This tragedy shook the community. Two vibrant young women were destroyed by boys who never taught them their limits. This case is not just about what happened that night. It's about parenting. It's about responsibility. It's about the consequences of giving teenagers complete freedom without accountability. This story deserves to be heard. Share it. Comment. Like it. Let others learn from the suffering of these two girls.